Obviously you guys seen the photos yesterday. It was a lot to write with one hand, so I thought I'd make a video and just explain the situation, what happened with the old thumb here. It's essentially early last year I had a bit of an incident with this bad boy here. I was running through a bunch of hammers. I was running through a big batch of hammers, probably about a dozen hammers. The main thing that I use this big girl here for, with a lot of jobs, but mainly hammers, is when you forge your eye on your hammer, these edges where the die comes through, the drift comes through, can have a bit of a sharp corner to them, which obviously on the bottom side, especially when you're trying to drive a handle through, can be not good for the wood. It just rips the wood apart, that sort of thing. So I use this to chamfer the inside edges of these eyes. And normally I would grab my hammer, I'd clamp it in the vise, and then I would use two hands and chamfer out the inside of that eye whilst it's clamped in the vise and can't go anywhere. On this day, obviously having so many hammers and stuff like that to do and being a bit under the pump, I was just holding the hammers and well, I got through a few and decided, oh, this is taking too long, I'll just hold it here and I'll hold it against the vise and I'll grind it out from here. So essentially what happened is I've come in, this bit spins really, really fast, and there's a lot of torque, like we're talking 400 watt at 25,000 RPM. This is a very sharp carbide burr tip. So I come in here, and as I've come around and I had the proper control because I'm using one hand, it's grabbed, it's yanked, and then it's ripped back to the other side, and then ripped out. And then as it's ripped out, it's hit me in the side of the thumb here, and hit it so hard that it snapped this stem in half, completely separated the head off of the stem. Big hole, really big hit obviously, like it flew out a million miles an hour and just whacked me super hard. Initially I thought I'd broken my thumb, it hit me that hard, but as I sort of went and wrapped it up and sat for a while, I realised, I can still move my thumb and it's still good, and I've still got all this work to do. I'll just wrap it up and I'll just suck it up and I'll deal with it. So worked the rest of that day with it. I was feeling alright other than this big hole that was just bleeding constantly, and so against better judgment I didn't go to the doctor till the next day, and essentially they just said it's been more than 12 hours, can't stitch it, it's moving, it's not broken, blah blah. So they just flushed it out, wrapped it up, tetanus shot, all that, off you go. So that's the way it was, and it healed up pretty well. And then probably 6 months later I was out shooting. I've got a pump action rifle, and I was out shooting in a sporting competition with that, which was a timed event, so it was as fast as you could go. And one of the shoots I was holding, and I pumped back, and I think I was holding it a bit funny, a bit like this, just because we were on a bench. So I pulled it back like this, and as I've got to the end of the pump, my hand slipped off the handle, and I whacked the top side of my thumb here onto the front of the magwell, and it hurt like fuck, like more than it should have, way more than it should have. And it just instantly swelled up like a big balloon, and a couple of days a lot of swelling, and then as that swelling went down, there was these two lumps left behind, these two hard lumps, and still quite sore, bruised. Felt like I just grabbed a sledgehammer and just whacked my hand with it. And then obviously these two hard lumps. So after probably close to a week, and these lumps hadn't gone away and all that sort of thing, I went, oh, I'll go to the doctor again. And they went and did an x-ray and was sort of expecting, oh, maybe there was from that original injury, maybe there was a bit of a crack or something in the bone, and maybe this had just been enough to just break that off and make a bit of a bone chip or something in there. And but yeah, we went and got it x-rayed, and turns out there was some metal in there. However, the interesting thing is that the original injury was down here, and as you can see by the blood up here, that's where the metal was. So it hit here, and obviously with the speed and the force that thing spins, and it gone in here and then just flung them up into here, up into the tendon up here. That was probably 6 months after the original injury that happened. After that, the GP decided he'd have a go at removing them under just local anaesthetic. So we did that probably November last year. Anaesthetic in the seat, and he cut it open as best he could and was digging around in there trying to get it out, and unfortunately it was unsuccessful. Sort of flushed it out, got a lot of fluid out of it and stuff. He stitched it all up again, and then went and got another x-ray. Unfortunately they were still in there. So yesterday I went into the hospital to a proper hand specialist. Went completely under, all that sort of thing. I haven't seen it, I didn't get to speak to them after, but my understanding is what they did was they cut a big flap, opened it up, and then they actually took away tissue and flesh and all that, because the bits were quite small. They weren't massive bits, they were bigger than they should be in there, because they were still causing a lot of pain. Like they were right on top of the knuckle, they're right on top here. So every time I put my hand in my pocket, it'd brush on it and it hurt. Obviously being right-handed and this being my left hand, if I was holding a punch or something at work and I'd hit the hammer, every single time you'd miss and hit that same spot. Playing with my son, like we'd be wrestling or tickling or something, and he'd knock my hand and I'd have to just stop. Fuck. So yeah, quite painful, but they're quite small, so I had to open this big flap up, remove tissue, like scrape tissue out to try and get these out. I haven't spoken to the doctor since. I'm hoping they're gone. From my understanding is that they had an x-ray in the room, so they were going to be doing this and then x-raying it at the same time. Hopefully that means that that's what they were doing, and when they x-ray,
you can see here I've had to take the dressing off because it was getting pulled on, but you can see the big divot in my thumb there where the flesh should be, whereas this photo you can see it's no divot. So yeah, so there we go.
Unwrapped and stitches removed and all that sort of thing. So I doubt that it'll be 2 weeks of me like this, because I won't be able to sit around for 2 weeks without working and all that sort of thing. So I'm sure the next couple of days I'll unwrap a lot of this bulk and just do lots of dressing changes, but at the moment it's really sore. It's sorer today than it was yesterday. Probably all the drugs and stuff are worn off, but yeah, I got a little bit of, it's still feeling and all that sort of stuff. I don't think there's any long-term effect. It's just going to be a matter of getting over this big massive chunk being taken out of my thumb and healing up from that and whatnot. So yeah, that's a bit of the story. Again, this has been 12 months over a 30-second decision to clamp something in a vise. So think about what you're doing, think about the consequences. If I'd clamped those like 5 hammers that I did holding, it would have taken me about a minute and a half longer, and then I wouldn't have had 12 months of dealing with this. So yeah, think about what you're doing. See you later.
I had to change the dressing today, so you can see how much material they've actually cut out of my thumb to get rid of that metal, compared to these next photos where it's my other thumb, where it's not missing chunks of meat.